Okay, welcome in. In this video, we have a really fun position, a Zugzwang, which is a situation that happens often in chess. We'll talk about what that means. I have the black pieces here. I'm in check from the white rook, so the king has to move. And just zooming out, the material is equal. There are 4 pawns and a rook on each side. So this is a rook and pawn endgame. You have to be careful not to make a mistake, or it can go downhill fast. Black is better in this position. The king is more advanced, better, kind of more attacking spot for the king. But I don't think it's a totally one position. Maybe if you're Magnus Carlsen, it is, but there's kind of some parity in the position here. So I have 2 moves. I can either go to h4, f4. h4 takes my king totally out of the game, so I move to f4. Now I have my king in the center, and I'm attacking his rook. And this is where he made the critical blunder. What white should play here is rook to e7. This is very deep in my position, and it also kind of threatens his rook either jumping to the h file or the a file to threaten my 2 pawns. Currently, my pawns are defended by my rook, right? But now this kind of pins my rook, doesn't pin, but keeps my rook on the 6th file, and now maybe his king can get into the game. So black is still better in this position, but that's white's best way to sort of stay in the game. Instead, he played what looks like a good move. He played king to f2. The idea here is he wanted to get his king off of the back rank. Previously, I had my rook kind of on the 2nd rank and just sort of trapping his king on the back rank, keeping it out of the game. So now he gets his king off the back rank and defending his rook, which is attacked by my king. So unfortunately, even though this looks like a very reasonable move, it is the losing blunder. So take a second and see if you can find the winning move for black. Okay, if you said to put the king in check with a rook, you were correct. Rook to d2 checks the king, and this is big trouble for white. So, if you move the king, obviously these, moving into g1 or f1 are totally nonsensical squares, because then the king just takes my king just takes his rook. Even if you try to attack my rook with king e1, right, attacking my rook, I just take with a king, and my king is defending my rook. So that just will not work. The only non-stupid move you can make is rook e2, and then I take with a rook, and he takes the king. And now we've reached a completely won position for black. And the move I played here, maybe not technically the best move, but completely works and has a fun sort of positioning situation, is king to e4. And this is what I said when I meant we had a Zugzwang situation. So it's white to move, but white does not want to move. White is at a disadvantage because white has to move. These pawns obviously cannot move just by the laws of the game. He does not want to move his h-pawn, because then I take it with mine and create this nice pass pawn of my own. And most importantly, he really does not want to move his king. So I think we can all agree if he moves his king to the back rank, my king can advance, and that's no good. But if he moves his king to the side, so, let's see what happens if he moves his king to f2, then my king can advance to d3, and now my king is going to, get to his b pawn and capture the b pawn and create a nice passed pawn of my own. So essentially what's happening in this position is there's a race towards these 2 battlegrounds. Both of these battlegrounds have pawns that are locked and not moving, or at least, don't want to move in the left case. And it's going to be a race to see who can get to which one first. So here he moved to d2. And I was looking a little bit at this position and was thinking about making the move king to f3. It looks like this is fine for black, because, black is going to be able to gobble the black king will be able to gobble these pawns up before the white king can get to the black pieces. But this was a blitz game, and I didn't really feel like, counting this out. So, I sort of thought about the first couple moves. Black takes the pawn, white takes the pawn, black takes this pawn. White moves here. I start pushing my pawn. He takes, push the pawn. He takes this pawn. And it looks like it's going to work out for black, but this was too much counting for a blitz game. It was too much sort of to think about. So instead of going into this, instead of when he kind of moved to the right, taking my king off and starting this race, I just kind of maintained the opposition, maintained the tension, and maintained the Zugzwang, as it were. So I played king to d2. Again, does not want to advance this pawn, and he has the same issue with the king. If he moves the king to the left to e2, then I advance with my king, and this b pawn will fall. So here he played, I think, the best move in the circumstances, king c2. And now this is where kind of the fun starts to come in, because we're crowding his king into the corner, and we're kind of getting it out of all the good squares. I played king to e3. And now I have this beautiful wall here of squares that his king cannot occupy. So he needs to stay. At this point, he's kind of chosen to defend this side. He needs to stay in the defense of his b pawn, but those squares are going to rapidly run out. So he played king to b2, trying to stay sort of on top of that b pawn. And again, I just played king to d3. And again, third or fourth time now, he is in Zugzwang, does not want to move this pawn, and the king needs to stay in defense of the b pawn. And now his squares really are running out. These squares all defend the b pawn, but of those squares, these three are illegal. My king is defending this square. My king and pawn are defending this square. My pawn is doing a great job defending, the a3 square, so he can't escape on that side. So his only choice to defend is a2. But then when I play king to c3, the last two remaining squares that defend the b pawn are unavailable for his king, so he has to retreat to the back row. And now it's as easy as king takes on b3. Now I've created this pass pawn, and white is finished here. You could try to play for a stalemate, but if you put your king in the corner with a1, I can always just play king c2, and you have this a2 square available, and then I can just advance my pawn, with check if I want. And even if you move it up the board, then I can advance my pawn to make a queen. And if you move it back to a1, then I'm playing check with my pawn, and my pawn is going to advance, and checkmate will follow. So I thought this was a really fun position. Again, the idea was it's a race to one of these two sides. And white does not want to be the first one to make a move, because then black will split for the other side. So white kind of just tries to hold out the defense. But because white had to move first, black is able to create this really nice wall and kind of move the wall in, and eventually kind of beat the white king back to the corner and be able to take this b pawn. So thought it was a fun position. If you enjoyed it, let me know, and we'll see you next time.